My wife was a woman with billions of net worth, yet I dreamed of divorcing her every single day. On paper, she was the kind of woman every man would kill to have. It all started when my mother fell gravely ill. Her last wish was simple. She wanted to see Freya and her grandson one last time. That day, I dropped everything and rushed home. What I found wasn't the reunion she'd hoped for instead. When I opened the bedroom door, I saw them, Freya and her first love, together in our bed and very much naked. I didn't say a word, just closed the door quietly and left. I buried my mother alone in silence. After the funeral, I stepped outside, dialed Freya's number and calmly asked for a divorce. But it wasn't her voice that answered. It was his, the first love. "Sorry, Mr. Sauerbeck," the man said with a mocking chuckle. "She's resting right now. Just fell asleep. Actually, I happened to help her a bit for that. Hope you don't mind not disturbing her." I didn't flinch. "Tell her we're done," I said flatly. He gave a dry laugh. "I'll make sure she gets the message." A few days later, Freya came back from a business trip. When she walked through the door, I didn't get up to greet her, didn't smile, didn't speak. I just sat there watching TV like she was a stranger. "Go pick out a pajama set for me," she said, already peeling off her clothes as she headed to the shower. I'm exhausted. The apartment was silent. There was nobody else but us and the soft rustling of her designer clothes hitting the floor one by one, revealing the body I used to worship. Skin like porcelain, curves like art. Once upon a time, I'd have leapt at the chance to please her. Followed her into the bathroom, offered to scrub her back, begged for her attention. But nothing of that like happened now. There wasn't even a flicker of desire in my heart. Freya finished her shower and stepped out in a cloud of steam. When she saw me still sitting there, unmoved, she frowned. "Where's my clothes?" she asked. "Just get the one with the cartoon print. You used to like that one." I turned to her, voice calm and steady. "When are we getting divorced?" She scoffed. "Don't be ridiculous. The night you called it was late. I was already asleep." She dried her hair, not even looking at me. "Alfred just answered for me. He's my assistant, that's his job. I already told him not to overstep again." "You're not seriously jealous, are you?" "Jealous?" She still thought I was the same man. Still thought I cared. She had no idea how far gone I was. "All right," Freya said with a sigh. "Go get my pajamas, will you? I'm really tired. Let's just go to bed early tonight. Tomorrow we'll visit your mother at the hospital." Her words stabbed through me like ice. I looked at her with indifference. "Visit my mother? Where exactly do you plan on visiting her?" She blinked, caught off guard by the question. "At the hospital, obviously." Then, as if trying to sound helpful, she added, "Oh, by the way, while I was out of town I looked into some options. There's a clinic in Dracopolis, really good care. I could have someone arrange the transfer. It would be better for her long term. My mother is dead." I cut her off mid-sentence, unable to hold it back any longer. I shouted it. Freya flinched like I'd slapped her. She stared at me stunned. For a second, I think she thought I was lying. What? Your mother? Why didn't I know about this?" she stammered. Of course she didn't know. When my mother passed, she was here, wrapped in silk sheets with another man, moaning his name. Not a single thought in her head for the woman who raised me. "Does it even matter anymore whether you knew?" I asked, my voice colder than steel. "When she was still alive, all she wanted was to see you. One last time. But you know damn well what you were doing." I took a step closer, my eyes locked on hers. "And now, when her eyes are closed forever, now you want to play the devoted daughter-in-law? What's the point of this act?" Freya stood frozen in silence. Without replying, she turned and walked into the dressing room. A moment later, she reappeared, wearing the cartoon print pajama set. The one I used to say made her look cute. The one she knew I liked. She stood across the room, looking at me with a faint, almost childlike sadness. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I really didn't know." Then she turned and walked quietly into the bedroom. In that moment, I finally understood that whatever innocent love Freya and I once shared had long since faded. The bond we once had was gone. Our relationship had turned toxic. There was no point in pretending anymore. That night, like most nights, I stayed up past 11 p.m. I'd gotten used to it. I didn't go back to our bedroom. I slept in a separate room now. Because every time I walked into that bedroom, every time I saw that bed, all I could think about was the day I came home and found her there, with him. The next morning, almost as if on cue, we opened our doors at the exact same time. She looked at me startled. "Why didn't you come back to the bedroom last night?" I met her eyes calmly. "Do you really think there's a point anymore?" Freya's face darkened. "You're so petty sometimes. You never try to understand me." I nodded slowly. "You're right. I didn't understand you. When my mother was in the hospital, asking to see you and her grandson one last time, when your assistant was lying in our bed, I've been trying, really trying, to figure out how to forgive you. But I just can't." I walked away. When I reached the front door, I paused. "Should I find a lawyer to draft the divorce papers, or do you want to handle that?" Freya didn't move. She just stood there, staring at me like a stranger. "Whatever. Do what you want." That weekend, I went to a law office and had a divorce agreement drafted. When it was done, I headed back to what was still technically our home. I held my key to the door, but hesitated. Maybe I didn't want to walk back into that place ever again. I pulled the key back out. Instead, I went to my home, my real one, the one I grew up in. Ever since Mom passed, I was the only one left here. I opened an old drawer and found a photo from a few years ago. It was one of the three of us, me, my mom, and my son. In the picture, Mom was smiling so gently, joy radiating from her face. But my son, he looked grumpy, clearly not happy to be taking that photo. When he was born, my mother was so happy. That child was her everything. However, Freya's family, they were overbearing from day one. Not long after our son was born, they told my mom straight to her face that my son won't have a future if he grows up in your house. He's going to take their family name. Weiss. When our son was born, Freya's family took over his upbringing entirely. My mother, his grandmother, was only allowed to see him once a month. At first, she was disappointed, but each visit brought her immense joy. However, as our son grew older, he began to adopt the elitist attitudes of Freya's family, looking down on his own grandmother. I was furious when he disrespected her. In a moment of anger, I slapped him. Instead of understanding, Freya's entire family turned against me, accusing me of being abusive. Even Freya said, "You're overreacting." It's normal for him to feel distant from someone he didn't grow up with. Our son had been molded by the Weiss family's values, materialistic and dismissive of those less fortunate. He even began to distance himself from me. My mother had once been proud that I married someone as accomplished as Freya, but after our son was born she seemed to lose her joy. Perhaps the constant sorrow contributed to her early passing. Late one night, around 1 a.m., Freya called me. "Where are you? Why didn't you come home?" I calmly replied, "I met with a lawyer today to draft our divorce agreement." After a pause, she asked, "Can we not go through with the divorce?" Her words pierced me. I thought I had moved on, but years of shared history aren't easily erased. Emotions are complex. I didn't respond and hung up. A few days later, Freya called again, inviting me to her mother's birthday celebration. Initially, I didn't want to go, but looking at the divorce papers, I decided to attend, seeking closure. Then I finally stepped into the Weiss family estate again. Every time I used to come to this villa, I'd feel a heavy weight in my chest, as if I didn't belong, as if I was constantly being judged. But not this time. Maybe it was the divorce papers in my hand that changed everything. For the first time in years, I felt free. Nothing could tie me down now. I arrived quite late. The Weiss estate was already bustling with guests. Laughter and chatter filled the air as everyone celebrated my mother-in-law and Weiss's birthday. People were offering gifts and warm wishes. The younger ones were behaving well, expecting to get some sort of reward. When I stepped inside, the room fell into a brief hush. The crowd instinctively parted, clearing a path. I walked straight toward Anne, holding the divorce agreement in my hand. Freya and her sister stood just behind her, flanking her like loyal sentinels. Her first love, yes, he was there too, hovered nearby, comfortably in the picture as though they were the real family now. Anne's expression soured the moment she saw me. Her voice was as sharp and dismissive as ever. "You're late. Do you even acknowledge me as your mother-in-law anymore?" Freya, surprisingly, stepped in to smooth things over, offering a cheerful excuse. "Mom, don't be upset. I'm sure Jonas was just out trying to find the perfect gift for you. He wanted to surprise you, that's all." Anne's face softened, slightly. She turned to me coldly and asked, "So, what did you bring?" She had never once treated me with kindness or respect. I used to hope I could win her over, that one day she might finally accept me. But I didn't care about that anymore. I smiled calmly and handed her the envelope. "This," I said, "might just be the best gift I've ever given you." The moment Anne laid eyes on the bold letters, "Divorce Agreement," her expression changed instantly. No one had seen it coming. A stunned silence fell over the room. Guests, relatives, everyone froze, their eyes bouncing between me and Freya, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Freya's face turned ghostly pale.